have something now called a crypto steel wallet, where I guess because I use Nano Ledger, so when you do your recovery, they say that you need the first 4 letters of each of your words.
That's right.
So now you put them inside of this stainless steel wallet, the 4 letters of each, and also you could put a padlock on there.
Yes.
But it's fireproof, it's waterproof, shockproof, so this way that whatever your seed words are, it ensures they'll be there as long as they can actually get their hand on that steel wallet.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So Crypto Steel was the first one that came out, but there are about 4 or 5 different options now. And if you're not following Jameson Lopp online, you should be. Jameson actually did a great, amazing article where he actually tested all of those wallets. He tested them with blowtorches.
Wow.
He tested them with, it's awesome. So you should definitely look that up if you want to know more and you can't find it or you want a link. Let me know and I'm happy to send it to you. It was definitely worth the read. And so he tested how easy it is to actually get it right, how easy it is to read those after they've been through a fire. And I will tell you, most of them failed miserably. Because what actually happened was the metal warped, not all of them, but the metal warped and those little tokens fell out. And once they fall out, you're totally screwed. You're like, ah! And also, I've used 4 of them myself. Not Crypto Steel, I have used Crypto Steel, but 4 different of those kind of steel hardware wallet storage devices. They're very, very tricky because the letters are so flippin' small. How many of you have you used them? Has anyone? Okay, yeah. So they're so small. You have to get tweezers and push it. Check them out. But you're absolutely right. There are solutions for fire. There are solutions for water. One of the solutions. I'm a big fan of paper. I'm a big fan of pen and paper, not pencil. Pencil is bad. The reason pencil is bad is because it fades, but also because people accidentally erase it, or if you made an error and erased it, then someone's gonna be like, oh, it's a problem. So pen, paper, and laminator. So you want to hard laminate it, and that's a good way to store against water. But the best thing to do is have redundant storage, right? To try and separate that out. So if there's a fire in one location, hopefully there isn't one in both locations. Some people go as far as doing geographic diversity, meaning they do outside of their city, outside of their state, outside of their country. Some people actually fly to other countries or drive to other countries to do this. The only thing that I will tell you is if you choose to do that, think about who's going to be accessing those seeds. Do they have a passport? Because if they don't have a passport, if they don't travel, that may be a huge impediment for them. If you have to fly, would they have the funds without your cryptocurrency to actually be able to go and fly and spend a night at a hotel and do whatever they needed to do in order to access that? I'm not saying no. This is the hard thing about estate planning and inheritance planning. There's no thing that I can say, you all in this room should definitely do this. Because everybody's different. Your family's different. Your family's different. Your situation is different. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all plan. But there are questions that I can ask you. And so effectively what the book is basically if you were to hire us at Third Key Solutions to help you design an estate plan, it's the questions that we would ask you. So we're okay, well now what about this? Well, what about that? So that's effectively, the book is kind of a how-to thing. And this is what we go through. Just as an aside, if you have not removed SMS, your phone number from recovery, please consider doing that immediately. A lot of people have had their SIM card ported. A lot of people have lost a lot of money because their phone number is their second factor, especially with exchanges. This is happening a lot. And so if you get hacked, they're porting your SIM number, and basically they're moving all your funds. So please, 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 if you haven't done this, I actually wrote an article about it. It's free. It's on Medium. You follow the steps. It's easy to do. And if you've got questions, reach out. I'm happy to help. Yeah.
So you would just replace that with Google Authenticator?
Yeah, Authenticator, Authy. Ideally, you'd have a YubiKey or a hardware token. Trezor can do it for some devices. I think Ledger is implemented it too, but I've never used Ledger for that. But I have used Trezor for it. So yeah, they're moving to U2F from 2FA, but yeah, it's just better to not have your phone number. The reason is because The idea is it should be something you know and something you own, right? But you don't own your phone number. The phone company owns your phone number. The fact that they allow one phone company to take over from another phone company doesn't mean that you actually have control over it. Yeah.
But I mean, what you're saying is definitely right. But my thoughts were that like those online wallets are only to purchase whatever token you are, and everything should go to a cold storage. Like nothing should ever be left on an exchange wallet on a phone at any time.
It's amazing. Yes, totally agree. 100%. You know how many people do that?
A lot. Almost everybody. A lot. Not a lot? Well, that's good.
No, a lot of people leave their money on exchanges despite repeated talk about please don't do this, please don't do this, please don't do this. A lot of people leave money on exchanges, especially people who like to trade. Because the only way to trade is to have your money there, right? So you have to let it sit there. And so you're exchanging, convenience and ease of trading for security. But yeah, I mean, the exchanges don't keep a ton in their hot wallets. They're all moving their stuff to cold storage.
Yeah.
I don't know why an individual would think like, oh, I shouldn't do that. Like, wouldn't you at least want to emulate the business practices of the business that you're using? But yeah, so if that's what you're doing, like seriously, again, like way above the curve on that. Good work. So after you have your access plan, then start thinking about your legal plan. Unless you already have a legal plan, in which case congratulations to you, and then start working in your crypto stuff. But yeah, so you want to incorporate your tech plan into your legal plan with a will or testament. Most places in the US have something called a statutory will, meaning that in the statutes themselves, they have a form. Just like the template that I showed you with your letter to loved ones, they actually have a form where they have language that you can write your own will, or that like you can, I don't know if that's the case here or not. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to do research on it. But yeah, so that may be a possibility. Also, legal aid clinics deal with wills and family law issues all the time. A lot of them have templates that you can use for free. So if you don't have a ton of money to hire a lawyer, that doesn't mean that it's actually going to be customized to fit your solution, but in my world, a little bit is better. Like, don't let the great be the enemy of the good, right? Like, if you have nothing and you want, a charity or your friends to get something, that's going to be better than having nothing and waiting. Okay, let's talk about your other second favorite subject, taxes. A lot of people get into this industry and they think and they say, yeah, I hear what you said, but I'm actually going to leave my heirs my Bitcoin on a bunch of ledgers, and the government's never going to know. I'm not going to declare it. I'm just going to give them the ledgers, and I'm going to write them out a thing on how to access it and all that. And you know what? That might actually work for your family. But you should know that if you live in the U.S. and they live in the U.S., that could actually be a felony. And what's worse, and what a lot of people don't recognize, is that if you don't pay taxes and you don't declare, you'll be gone. So who's going to go to jail?
They will.
They will, right? And so you could inadvertently be putting them in a bad position. Here's the example that I like to use. Let's say that you have $25 million, okay? You're not happy about that? There's no smiles? No, you're like, pocket change. All right, so you've got $25 million, you've got 5 people that you want to give Bitcoin to, right? So you put $5 million on each device, right? You could put them all on ledgers, okay? Now, what do you think they're going to do with $5 million? You think they're just going to put that in the pocket and keep working? Can you imagine the Facebook posts that are going to occur with their new car, their vacation, whatever it is that they're doing, right? So they're already going to start drawing attention to themselves. But the worst scenario is that one of them blows through all the money first and then extorts the others for the rest of the money, because they're like, hey, listen, I know you didn't pay taxes, and unless you give me money, I'm going to report you. I have nothing to lose, right? And so you have a power problem, because you put one person in a position to have power over the others. Maybe that's not your family. I hope it isn't, okay? I really, really hope it isn't. But like you want to think about these things and think about like the scenarios that you're setting up for your family before you actually do this. I know this question is coming. It always comes. I actually wrote an entire appendix about smart wills in the book. It's would be a whole chapter, but I had to move it to the end because that's how little I think of this solution now. Smart wills are not going to work for your family right now. Number one, most of the solutions that are being offered in the marketplace are centralized. Most of them want to handle your assets. They want to handle informing your heirs about the fact that they inherited your assets. You should be very, very careful with that.
Can you explain what a smart will is?
Sure. A smart will is a smart contract implementing distribution of your crypto assets. So what they say is, the most simple is, I'm going to let my family know about where my seeds are through a dead man switch. Okay, so I'm going to use a dead man switch. And if I don't log into X platform for however long, it's going to automatically send my family an email telling them about accessing my seeds. Okay? That sounds awesome, doesn't it? That sounds like, yeah, hell yeah, that's going to work. It's not going to work. You know why? Spam filters. Friends, do you actually think that your family is tech savvy enough to look through their spam filters and not think that that's a scam email? Seriously, like, maybe they will be. But the majority of people, no. No. If I think about my friends and family, no. If they're calling you because they locked themselves out of Facebook, they are not going to be able to figure this out. They're going to think it's a scam. They're going to think that they're being targeted, and they're going to ignore it. Also, the technology is not there yet. So the Ethereum platform is about to undergo a huge transformation, right, as we move to proof of stake. And what that means for me as a lawyer and for a long-term planning person is you don't want your assets riding on that right now because we don't know what's going to happen. It might be great. It might suck. If you really want to do a smart contract will, feel free. We need guinea pigs. We need testers, okay? But for my family and my clients, no, we're not there yet. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not an advocate or that I'm not excited about it. Like, I think it's awesome. I think the idea of actually executing this is huge. But what stands in the way is key management. If your heirs cannot manage crypto keys, they can't deal with a smart contract. If your heirs, because what will happen? You're going to have a centralized entity managing those keys for them and managing control. Why do that? The better thing to do is to educate your family about crypto. I have some friends some colleagues actually, who decided that for the holidays, they were going to give their family like a tiny bit of Bitcoin on a Trezor. But they said, you have to do, like they actually like wrote a scavenger hunt thing that made them like, okay, you want this Bitcoin? It's worth this amount of money. But in order to get there, you have to do this and this and this. And you have to tell me, like, what is a wallet? And you have to tell me what a seed phrase is. And so, like, they actually did all this because they were super excited to get some Bitcoin. So I don't know if your family is, like, interested in that. But that's one way that you can kind of get them to understand a little bit about key management. I think the key management piece is crucial. Before we can start using smart contracts, we have to educate people on key management. Yeah, it's coming to an end. Humans die, crypto assets don't. So you want to make sure that those crypto assets that you have are able to be passed on to your family. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming today. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and I'm happy to take questions.
So if with the automated disbursements of crypto, if you don't log into your Facebook or Twitter for however long,
yeah.
If it's set to go to another wallet automatically, doesn't that kind of cut out some of the issues that you were talking about in terms of?
Yeah, sure. Whose wallet? Who controls those keys? This is the problem.
Gotcha.
So until your heirs can actually say, hey, this is my Trezor, this is my key, I know how to back it up,
right.
I know how important this is, okay, now you can start talking about automatic distribution. There are tons of legal issues that go along with automatic distribution, by the way. For example, if you decide that you're going to automatically distribute your assets to your best friend and your local crypto meetup, and the law says that your assets actually go to your brother and sister, right? What will happen is the smart contract will execute, as we know that it will, right? Assuming that it has the right input and triggers. So it will execute. It'll distribute the money here to these people. And then what will happen is your brother and sister will sue the meetup and attempt to get the value. They can't get the Bitcoin, right? Because you can't force someone to relinquish the Bitcoin. But you can sue an individual within a jurisdiction and then put liens against their property or have a judgment against them or do all sorts of other nasty things. So the smart will does not allow you to escape from local jurisdiction, which is why it's really important to know what the laws are in your jurisdiction, because guess what does allow you to escape those rules? Writing a will or doing a trust. If you do those things, then you can do whatever you want. I mean, with a trust, effectively, you can leave all your money to your cat, and there's nothing that anyone can do about it. But if you don't do a trust or you don't do a will, then all of your assets are going to be distributed according to the state. Yeah.
Quick question. I've never actually talked to a lawyer about this, but what constitutes a will? Can a napkin be a will, or what is that?
Great question.
Okay.
So there are additional statutory, so you may have heard in the past that like you can write a contract on a napkin, right? And that's true in most jurisdictions. It depends on what the contract is for. So there are certain categories of things that that the courts say like, these are pretty important. They might have to have some other things in them. So real property is one of them. So like you can't actually sell a house or agree to sell a house without some certain language and certain things within that contract. Wills are often another part of it. And the reason is because, as you might imagine, people can be coerced into writing wills. They can have an inappropriate relationship with someone, sometimes a caregiver or something like that, and all of a sudden now, the family's left out and they're leaving all the money to the caregiver and whatever, which you're welcome to do that, right? It's just,